I expect patenle. Ude uya expect patenle. You're probably confused, right? To most of you, what I said just sounded like gibberish. What you heard wasn't gibberish, but it's still a made up language. It's called Pig Latin. Here's another example. Auhe is a orie eronike vacation ve oinge. I just asked you how your Corona vacation is going. Now, the thing about Pig Latin is that it's not like a real language. That is to say, there isn't some unique word for every word in English. There's not even a grammatical structure. I like to think of it as a different, more jumbled up way of speaking English. Now, before I go on to how it's spoken or my own personal experiences with Pig Latin, I'd like to give you some background. Pig Latin has its roots in what we would describe as Dog Latin, and it was spoken a long time ago according to StraightDope.com, even before Shakespeare, who references it in his 1598 play Love Labour's Lost. The modern version of Pig Latin came about in the early 20th century and was popularized by the show The Three Stooges. It's been seen often in that show, and you may have actually heard Pig Latin used in your favorite TV show, movie, or book without even knowing it. So in some shows or whatever platform it may be, if a character isn't supposed to say something in front of someone, the other character might say ixnay on the erd way. This means nix on the word, but I just use word as a filler for any number of things I may not want the other character to say. So if they weren't supposed to say the word fat in front of someone who's sensitive about their weight, the character might say ixnay on the atfe or nix on the fat. So after hearing all this background, I bet you're still wondering, so what is Pig Latin? Well, here, I'm going to tell you. With a little bit of focus and practice, you too can speak Pig Latin fluently. So, let's start with the word pig. So, here we have pig, and it's a 3-letter word starting with a consonant. So we're going to do this. We're going to take the P at the beginning of the word, and we're going to move that to the end. So, once we have that P there, we're going to add an AY. And since we moved the P over, we're going to get rid of the original P. So we're left with the word igpe, right? And we can do this with any other word, so I'm going to use the example of cat. And I know these letters are backwards, but you can still get the idea. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to move the C to the end, and I'm going to add an AY. Get rid of that original C, and we're left with at K. So here's where it gets a little trickier. So if we have a word like the, right? The starts with more of a sound than a letter, like the sound. So what you would think you were going to do if you were going by this is you would move the T to the end, add the A, and get rid of the T, and you'd be left with hite. But that doesn't really sound right. It doesn't really sound like the original word. So instead, what you're going to do is you're going to move the entire sound to the end with the A. So you're going to move the T and the H, and you're going to add an A to that. So get rid of that original T and H. Now you got they. So instead of just moving the letter to the end, you're actually moving that first sound you make to make it more fluent, flow better, right? And so here's one more rule I would give you. If your word starts with a vowel, right? Like the word animal, what you would think you'd do is you'd move the A to the end and you'd have A-A-Y, and you get rid of that, and then it's like namole or something. You don't want to do that because it doesn't really work. When you put two vowels in a row together, it just doesn't really flow. It just sounds weird. So what you're going to do instead of doing that is you're just going to say the word that starts with a vowel, and you're going to say A afterwards. So you just say the word, change nothing, and add an A to the end. And the reason why this works is if you were to say it fast enough, in the middle of a sentence in full Pig Latin, no one would really be able to catch that unless they were listening very hard. Like, I can speak it pretty fast. So if I were to put animal in a sentence, I could say, other animal is a eking spare ve asfe. And you guys were listening for it, but someone who's not might not really pick up that word. So it still works. And the reason I started speaking Pig Latin was so me and my sister could speak in front of our parents without them actually hearing what we wanted to say. So it is important that no one can really pick it up. So while it's not a real language, you can still make it sound like something that's not English when you're speaking it fast enough. I learned it from my dad, though, so I couldn't really do it in front of my dad. So essentially, I've had friends learn this in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's really not that hard. It's a little hard to learn how to hear it, but with enough practice, you can get it just as fluent as me. Just a little bit of effort. It's pretty fun, guys.